Hassan Belete, representative of this.
Then we saw to win election, and all those who have won election with it are to split the vote of your opponent in his or her stronghold. That's exactly what Kool is doing.
Okay. To the Supreme Court. The court is to come up with a ruling into the Bureau of Information filed by impartial Speaker Fernando Kofa and his team, including you, from the Rule of Law Caucus. What are your anticipations on ability?
As you can see, I'm dressed for the court.
Okay.
Going there, whatever they say, we have been very clear. Whatever the court say is the end of the journey for us.
Okay. So
it will be for everybody.
Meaning any rule.
Thank you.
You are listening to the ruling.
Senator Dillon, welcome to the media, Senator Dillon.
All your way for the court. You can't copy. Please. You will get a court ruling for yourself. It can be clear.
When you were seated in the chamber, yes, Senator
I was
Dillon.
there. The
Okay.
Senate will act in keeping with the ruling of the court.
What was that ruling?
In keeping with the ruling of the court. The Senate will take official copy of the ruling.
They say you didn't
If you listen, that would be a big one.
the court said the Justice Minister view on their ruling is irrelevant. Can you speak to that?
No.
What your perspective, Senator? In the Senate, the
Supreme Court ruling is clear.
It's clear, very clear.
Is the speaker.
You listen to Senator Abraham Dillon, Senator Mike Gill, their folks. It's on to the Liberia.
To Almighty God, in genuine respect and love for our country, endowed in a resilient and good people. Today, the Supreme Court of Liberia reaffirmed and upheld the rule of law in what has been termed the legislative impasse. As we have pledged, the ruling of the court will be our last bus stop, and the court has ruled, effectively recognizing that our leadership holds the constitutional mandate of the first branch of government, and we welcome that ruling. We are truly grateful to God, who has given us the strength over the past 6 months to endure the endurable and suffer the insufferable. To my colleagues who have stood up for the rule of law at great peril to their political and financial lives, my sincere salute. Societies become great when ordinary men and women rise up to do extraordinary things. Today you walk into history with the wind at your back and the thanks of a grateful nation. To the hundreds of thousands of Liberians here and around the world who on bended knees prayed with us, texted a word of encouragement, held us up lest we fall, and believed in us, we are truly grateful. Without you, this advancement in our democracy would not have been possible. We will always remember, we will always be proud, and we will always be your servants. To our colleagues on the other side, we identify with your just grievances and call on you to join us and end the stalemate at Capitol Hill. Come, let us reason together. In the words of President John F. Kennedy, remembering on both sides that civility is not a sign of weakness and sincerity is always subject to proof. Let us not negotiate out of fear, but let us not fear to negotiate. I will reach out to Deputy Speaker Thomas Falla and Honorable Richard Kool so that we establish a joint reconciliation and transitional committee. I am not unmindful that reconciliation and progress may require that I make the ultimate sacrifice, and I am not unwilling to pay that price. But please let us show this nation how democracies are built. May the Almighty God bless the works of our hands and save the Republic. to Almighty God and genuine respect and love for our country, endowed in a resilient and good people. Today, the Supreme Court of Liberia reaffirmed and upheld the rule of law in what has been termed the legislative impasse. As we have pledged, the ruling of the court will be our last bus stop, and the court has ruled, effectively recognizing that our leadership holds the constitutional mandate of the first branch of government, and we welcome that ruling. We are truly grateful to God, who has given us the strength over the past 6 months to endure the endurable and suffer the insufferable. To my colleagues who have stood up for the rule of law at great peril to their political and financial lives, my sincere salute. Societies become great when ordinary men and women rise up to do extraordinary things.
The Supreme Court ruling is clear.
It's clear, very clear. It's the speaker.
Today you walk into history with the wind at your back and the thanks of a grateful nation. To the hundreds of thousands of Liberians here and around the world who on bended knees prayed with us, texted a word of encouragement, held us up lest we fall, and believed in us, we are truly grateful. Without you, this advancement in our democracy would not have been possible. We will always remember, we will always be proud, and we will always be your servants. To our colleagues on the other side, we identify with your just grievances and call on you to join us and end the stalemate at Capitol Hill. Come, let us reason together. In the words of President John F. Kennedy, remembering on both sides that civility is not a sign of weakness and sincerity is always subject to proof. Let us not negotiate out of fear, but let us not fear to negotiate. I will reach out to Deputy Speaker Thomas Fowler and Honorable Richard Kool Mornng so that we establish a joint reconciliation and transitional committee. I am not unmindful that reconciliation and progress may require that I make the ultimate sacrifice, and I am not unwilling to pay that price. But please let us show this nation how democracies are built. May the Almighty God bless the works of our hands and save the Republic.
Wait for the court ruling. You're getting copy. Please. You wait, get a court ruling for yourself. It can be clear.
But you were seated in the chamber. Yes, and
I was there. The
okay.
Senate will act in keeping with the ruling of the court.
What was that ruling?
In keeping with the ruling of the court. The Senate will take official copy of the ruling.
They say you didn't today.
If you listen, that would be a big one.
The court said the Justice Minister view on their ruling is irrelevant. Can you speak to that?
No.
One perspective in the Senate,
the Supreme Court ruling is clear.
It's clear, very clear.
It's the speaker.
You listen to Senator Ephraim Delon, Senator Mike Gill.
One perspective in the Senate,
the Supreme Court ruling is clear.
It's clear, very clear.
It's the speaker.
You listen to Senator Ephraim Delon, Senator Mike Gill, their folks.
To Almighty God and genuine respect and love for our country, endowed in a resilient and good people. Today, the Supreme Court of Liberia reaffirmed and upheld the rule of law in what has been termed the legislative impasse. As we have pledged, the ruling of the court will be our last bus stop, and the court has ruled, effectively recognizing that our leadership holds the constitutional mandate of the first branch of government, and we welcome that ruling. We are truly grateful to God who has given us the strength over the past 6 months to endure the endurable and suffer the insufferable. To my colleagues who have stood up for the rule of law at great peril to their political and financial lives, my sincere salute. Societies become great when ordinary men and women rise up to do extraordinary things. Today you walk into history with the wind at your back and the thanks of a grateful nation. To the hundreds of thousands of Liberians here and around the world who on bended knees prayed with us, texted a word of encouragement, held us up lest we fall, and believed in us, we are truly grateful. Without you, this advancement in our democracy would not have been possible. We will always remember, we will always be proud, and we will always be your servants. To our colleagues on the other side, we identify with your just grievances and call on you to join us and end the stalemate at Capitol Hill. Come, let us reason together. In the words of President John F. Kennedy, remembering on both sides that civility is not a sign of weakness and sincerity is always subject to proof. Let us not negotiate out of fear, but let us not fear to negotiate. I will reach out to Deputy Speaker Thomas Fowler and Honorable Richard Kool Mornng so that we establish a joint reconciliation and transitional committee. I am not unmindful that reconciliation and progress may require that I make the ultimate sacrifice, and I am not unwilling to pay that price. But please let us show this nation how democracies are built. May the Almighty God bless the works of our hands and save the Republic.
Please, get a court ruling for yourself. It can be clear.
When you were seated in the chamber, yes, and
I was there. The
okay.
Senate will act in keeping with the ruling of the court.
What was that ruling?
In keeping with the ruling of the court. The Senate will take official copy of the ruling.
They say you see
If you listen, that would have been
Good afternoon, good evening to all of you. Many thanks for joining us again on this wonderful, wonderful 24th day in the month of April. And the year stands at 2025. It's a pleasure having you joining the conversation from wherever you are. And it's good to have you watching us from wherever you are across the globe. We say this is your breakfast info compounding program from the city of Painesville, Montserrat, Liberia. We say welcome to you all. Thanks for watching, sharing, leaving all of your comments. We'll try to read it out for you, and you can ask others to follow you as well. Welcome to the Morning Rock, and it's on Kool 91.9, Kool Radio Online, as well as Kool Cape News and our YouTube channel as well. Follow us on all of these outlets, and you get the best and reliable, balanced, clear information at your doorsteps, your offices, your business center, wherever you are. Good morning to all of you in Liberia. Welcome. Premises as usual to be great on this wonderful, wonderful, cool Thursday morning. And we are going to talk about what matters most to Liberia. Welcome Wiki Brooks and Ambassador Jonathan Abiba, senior alongside Sakangu is the man behind the camera producing all of the videos and sound this morning. So we like to say, without further ado, I say welcome this morning. You know, yesterday Liberians for the last couple of months have waited to get the very clear understanding from the Supreme Court of Liberia. A clear stance and interpretation on a constitutional matter that have been unfolding for the last couple of months since October of last year, 2024, up until April 2023, 2025. April 2023. And you know, we have gone through these matters for a long period of time. Liberian waited on Wednesday yesterday to get the clear understanding because everybody got confused over the period of time. What was happening? Two speakers. One person say, no, I'm the speaker. Another person say, no, I'm not. Another group is saying, you are not, we don't believe in you, we don't have anything. So earlier on, this matter was taken to the Supreme Court. And the Supreme Court asked the body to go back and organize themselves, read the House standing rules by themselves, and give a clear interpretation how Speaker is elected, that Speaker is removed, and the impacts continue. So we had a bad election for Nima County on Tuesday to replace the late Senator Greenwald Johnson. And on Wednesday, yesterday, the 23rd of April, 2025, a landmark ruling in that long-standing leadership crisis at the lower house, the House of Representatives, came to an end with a clear and definite ruling from the Supreme Court, the highest in the land. But after that ruling, we are now getting reports, statements from both sides. We've been struggling with the leadership crisis. Yeah, I'm the speaker, you're not the speaker, I'm the speaker, and this person is not, I'm the legitimate. It was made clear on yesterday. But there was also a dissenting opinion from one of the justices, Associate Justice Yami Wisi. The former President of the Republic of Liberia, President George Weah, also had a statement. We listened to the embattled speaker from Atikofa, Honorable Richard Cohn's office yesterday to also issue a statement. This is where we find ourselves at a crossroad into this matter. The rule of law matters. Our international partners now watching us. We've been talking to some of them behind the scene. We've been speaking to some of the lawmakers from both sides about the thoughts and opinion of the ruling. You listen to Honorable Kufa say he extended an olive branch of peace and reconciliation to his colleague, and he will speak to the Deputy Speaker Thomas Fowler and as well as Honorable Richard Cohn that they sit and establish a committee of reconciliation and a transitional committee. Where will we be transitioning from to go to where? Nobody knows. There are folks who have said history has been made. We Honorable Kofa now see this ruling as a real precedent that we don't have these things happening in the future. That he will say, yes, my colleagues stood by me and other folks which he acknowledged. I will now step aside, I will resign. I had a fought that I won. So I don't need to keep holding on to this. So I need to step aside because my colleagues might not just be willing to sit under the gavel of my authority to work with me. But I can raise my head high above water and say, yes, I want this. Will Honorable Richard Kool now respect the decision of the court, the highest court, to step aside and say, yes, the court has ruled, or we are going to paint a picture as a nation and country to our international partners, telling them that we are defiant of the rule of law. Can we now go back and get the numbers and give this man due diligence, give him the time with all of the claims and accusations against him, that he can defend himself before the colleagues? And also, can we now say this also open a clear picture that we can have people respecting the rule of law? But Honorable Richard Kool has rejected this identical ruling on yesterday from the Supreme Court that notified and reinstated that Representative J. Francis Kofa as the legitimate Speaker of the House of Representatives. There is no if and ands about it. They will be clear. But Associate Justice Yami Kogi Bessie had his own dissenting opinion on yesterday that it was a slap in the face of justice. You declare the majority bloc, according to him, you declare the majority bloc as illegitimate. And Richard Kool is not the legitimate speaker. But yet the body that have been declared illegitimate debated the budget, passed the budget, civil servant, and he said, we also been taking our salary and benefits. So what do we say about ourselves? So what if yesterday it clearly states that everything that was done by that Occur's body was never in the right direction. It was illegitimate. Okay, we'll go back to correct it. How do we rewrite the wrongs? The budget is currently functioning, government moving forward. Where are we on this matter? Emmanuel, good morning.
Good morning, Wiki, and good morning to everyone following this broadcast. Is actually something we started in October of last year. We kept talking until today's date. We're still talking, and the issues surrounding the impasse at the House of Representatives, it seems not to be ending anytime soon, because from the ruling yesterday we headed strictly to the Capitol building, where we arrived. We saw supporters of the Speaker from the majority bloc, Richard Kool, standing their grounds. There is no way they will succumb to any court ruling, and with no delay, before the day came to an end yesterday, you saw the Speaker from the majority bloc, Richard Kool, came out with a statement rejecting, and the former manner he rejected the court ruling is worrisome. By this time, as we speak, they should be doing all they can. If they cannot go back on the governorship of the Speaker of the House of Representatives or the embattled Speaker, they should be doing what they should ought to be doing. But the statement made by Honorable Richard Kool yesterday is not a favorable one. In fact, the chair on rules, order, and administration from the governorship of Honorable Richard Kool, the District 11 representative of Montserrat County, James Kohler yesterday as well made a statement.
No, he's from Bond County.
Yeah, he from District 2 in Bond County, but he got elected as the chair on rules, order, and administration at the level of the House of Representatives from the majority bloc. He's one person who has been very vocal in this impasse. He's one person who is noted for taking many of the decisions as the head of the rules, order, and administration of the House of Representatives from the majority bloc. And the mayor who said George Yamin Wese's statement was a liquor talk, 40E formula. I don't know whether the statement again, the dissenting view from George Yamin Wese is also a liquor talk. So I'm like wondering whether 40E formula.
I'm sure he'll be quoting him out for reliance.
That's
after abusing him in the open. They're very disrespectful. You know, you want to be representative, or you're representing people. A young man, you stood in the open and insulted somebody who sits at the highest level in the country. Now he gave his candid opinion yesterday. You will now go back and say you will be quoting him.
Oh yeah, and the good part about the whole thing is that the dissenting view yesterday from George Yamin Wese is something in their favor. So this time around, like you rightly placed it, he will now reference the statement made by the Associate Justice. Today it will never be a liquor talk.
No, it will be a real talk that came from somebody who sits on the bench of the Supreme Court, who also gave his opinion following the landmark ruling. Now, will these people now respect the law and say, we have gotten a clear understanding and interpretation from the Supreme Court that we've been operating illegally? What do we do? So some of the damages, because if you say, because normally we say what is not done properly is not done at all, or what is not done legally. So how do we go back to correct somebody wrong? The budget is in full swing. Silver 7, other people, Yamin Wese spoke about that yesterday in his opinion, that we declare these people as illegal, but yet they pass the budget, we are taking pay, we operating, but how do we reconcile it? Will we now restitute the money and go back? How do we do this? Look, I said before, I'm not a prophet Messiah, not at all, that we were never close to ending the crisis.
Not at all.
And yesterday ruling shows from all indication that the two parties are not waiting to sit on the same table.
No, not possible. Now, this is what James Kohler said yesterday. He said in the quotation, they are not to interfere. We do not need their approval. We are a separate branch of government, we declared. We went to the court in the spirit of collaboration, not submission. If that opportunity is going to be misused, let it be clear, we have our own authority. Just as the court can rule, we also have the power to impinge. So, this particular impasse, from the look of things, the entire matter is getting worse by the day. The more the court rule, the more things get worse. Now, when you take a look, yesterday when the court ruled, we as journalists escorted the legs of Representative Josiah Marvin Cole, Senator Nathaniel Fallow McGill, Representative Eugene Colley, and the rest of the folks. We escorted them to their offices. Upon our arrival at the Capitol building, the office of the Speaker, as we speak, the majority member's Speaker, Richard Nangwe, is currently occupying the office of the Speaker. It was heavily guarded by armed security officers, ranging from the Liberia National Police, They have the Liberia the Police Support Unit, which is the PSU. They were heavily standing in front of the Speaker's office with arms. So it means since the forceful entry of the office, Reggie Nambekuna occupied a particular office, and you saw yesterday his car was parked at the particular area. He and Yeka Kolba had a tussle over who owns legitimacy of the parking lot and all of that. The car remained parked there. The license plate is also on his vehicle, REP1, and all of what we're talking about is happening like that. Yesterday, the court ruled. Following the ruling of the court, there is still issues from the both sides. And yesterday, the issue about the ruling, what about those lawmakers who have been suspended? In the words of Representative Opi Kopo, he said, in fact, those who were being considered as suspended were never suspended because all of what these lawmakers from the majority black were involved in, it was illegal. And anything that is not done perfect is not done at all. So for that reason, their benefits, their salaries, everything will be given back to those who being considered as suspended lawmakers. Yesterday, during the evening hours, the former president of the Republic of Liberia spoke to the issue, and one of the contestants into the 2023 legislative and presidential election, Alexander Benedict Cummings of the Alternative National Congress, as well as reacted to the court ruling yesterday during the evening hours. Couple of individuals in former pro tem Aman Zulu Jala from Bakpulu County as well. He also reacted to the ruling.
He's a legal person as well.
Yes. Couple of individuals.
I've spoken to some of the lawmakers concerning this matter on yesterday. Some of them stay in Liberia, some of them out of the country for personal reasons or representing Liberia to their functions. They too have said upon the return, we will, beginning by next week, we'll open a platform for legal people, lawmakers from both sides to sit on the table. Let's get understanding to know where we are with this matter. How do we end this matter? Because if we will not respect the higher court decision in the land, we are lawless. Then where do we go from here? Where do we go from here? Following the landmark ruling on yesterday, where Honorable Fanatikoba to understand that even if I say yes, I'm going to take my position as the speaker, and be legitimized by the highest court in the land, and my colleagues cannot come and sit on me without not resign because we get a hint that he might. But in his statement, he said he will extend the peace pipe, the Holy Spirit, calling on the Deputy Speaker Thomas Fowler as well, Richard Kuhn, that they can sit and see how they're to do reconciliation and organize a committee that would smoothly do a transition. Which transition is it? Coming back to you, or you will be turning over to them? Or would they now say we would start afresh and have a new election? Will Honorable Richard Kuhn now be saying, yeah, willing for us, since you got, but you cannot constitute, the Constitution states it clear, 49. You have not gotten the 49. And this man have not been able to reach the number 2 to constitute a quorum to conduct session. So every time the meeting were adjourned.
One thing really I find it so difficult to get around my head this morning is that, do these lawmakers, are they bothered by this current situation in country?
No.
Are they bothered by the issue of health crisis, in a sense that people dying from curable diseases in this country? Do they know, or are they in the know of the issue of hospitals continuing to be out of medicine, essential drugs?
What about the issue of these substances are very harmful that our young brothers and sisters, adults are taking in right now? Every time you listen, you read the paper, you hear that this amount of drugs got seized.
Oh yes.
By the LDA or joint security at this border points, at this area, the other community, which is a threat to national security. So we now at a stage where we are having this discussion. You know, after 2018 election, when the collaborating political parties took the matter to the Elections Commission that their votes were rigged and given to the CDC and the National Elections Commission ruled that no, it's not so. They failed to certify. They used the law. They went straight at the Supreme Court. And the Supreme Court said the complaint could not amount to overturning the result and have a rerun of the election. And Associate Justice at the time that was impeached, Kabina Jare, had his own dissenting opinion on that matter as well. And his dissenting opinion haunted him. We don't want a repeat that today that Yamin Bese, Associate Justice Yamin Bese, his opinion on yesterday could come haunting him. This is Liberia. I'm not perfect, but I say these things.
The thing about it right now is that all of these associate justices and the head, which is the Chief Justice,
she leaves in less than 2 months and some days. June 26th, Justice Shannon Yo will be leaving that position.
One thing that was also figured out yesterday is the statement from the Attorney General of the Republic of Liberia.
Declared that he misinterpreted, and his statement was not in the direction of the opinion of the court. So where do we go from here?
And the issue is, many a time people come out and they will say, oh, in fact, the Attorney General is the only person that can disagree with the president, and they will say all of it, but when it comes to these issues, now he has the time to interpret. And the court is saying, whatever interpretation or whatever way he interpreted the ruling of the court by then, it has no effects. It has nothing easy, and this is exactly the way they place it. The opinion of the Attorney General has no legal effects on the Supreme Court ruling, as it is deemed irrelevant. It's not relevant at all. And because of that particular opinion the Attorney General interpreted by them, led to the Senate held by Yobli Kanga Lawrence with no delay announced doing business with the majority members of the House of Representatives, or quote unquote the majority bloc.
And right after the ruling yesterday, Senator DeLong, when he was quizzed by journalists, he admitted that the Supreme Court ruling has clearly stated that Honorable Kofa is the legitimate speaker.
And the Senate will act according to the ruling from the Supreme Court.
So where do we go from here? Because they said initially that they were, based on the interpretation from the Attorney General, they have to do business. Budget being passed. People being taking salary. And all the benefits. So this is where we find ourselves.
And these are some of the points that were captured yesterday from the ruling. It said all actions by the majority members are unconstitutional. all their actions are illegal. Too many questions to be answered. This is why, you know, in a home of democratic process, everyone should see everyone who are critical voices very important. The dissenting view of George Yami Bishop on yesterday worth commending, and it shows that people are independent, though there might be, but it also proves that everyone on that bench has their opinion.
Now let's
5 persons on the bench, each of them have their opinion.
Yeah.
And the head of them, who is the mouthpiece for all of them, is the Chief Justice. But you saw yesterday, in the face of his colleagues, he was never deterred. It was never considered, up to today's day, he had not been considered as liquor talk, but he was to what he believed is the right thing to say at the appropriate time, and he said it. That clearly speaks that everyone has their opinion, and that is his opinion to what has happened yesterday.
Emmanuel, come to think about this. Like I said a couple of weeks before this landmark ruling on yesterday, what will we do now? Now that the Supreme Court has ruled, don't forget now, they declared the majority black, all of the actions illegal. The speaker from the majority black or the J speaker is not illegitimate. But the very same Supreme Court or the judicial branch of government, they send a delegate to defend the budget before this identical illegal speaker during the budget hearing.
And it was a very chaotic scene during the commencement of the budget hearing.
So how can you go to defend a budget before somebody who you know is not the president to stand before?
These are some of the questions.
So, you know, and these are people, that's why Honorable Yami Bese said, we've been taking salary. For this, the Denver put down with them illegal.
But equally,
several been receiving their salary as well.
But equally so, during the State of the Nation address, the very same Associate Justice or Justices and the Chief Justice who was out of the country, but the Associate Justices were here, they deliberately refused to attend the State of the
very
Nation
same
address.
Associate Justice, Yami Bese, admitted during the opening of the court that the reason why they did not go over there, the president who had legitimized Rachel Kuhn as speakers, he come back to tell us something different. And I'm leaving this country tomorrow.
And this is his direct statement. He said, distinguished colleagues, we were, and this is the statement from Representative Foden. This is the statement from Representative Foden E. Famula. So this is what Representative Foden E. Famula of District 7 Bon County said. He said, distinguished colleagues, we will not give any relevant or any alcohol statement from the Associate Justice. If someone go into a Kindu shop and makes a liquor statement, we will not give any relevant to it. Yeah. Representative Foden E. Famula, and this is the statement. For me, I talked at the opening of the court. This is George Yami Bese now. He said, for me, I talked at the opening in Nima the other day. They said it was a liquor talk. George Yami Bese noted in the court during the legal argument in the Bill of Information filed before the Honorable Supreme Court. Today, Justice Yami Bese have given another dissenting opinion. So, why are they even treating the Liberian people like that? Yesterday, when you said the fact that we could not attend the State of the Nation address so as to have a legitimate or to legitimize the speakership of Richard Nambekun.
Yeah.
Again,
you were the one who said all of what was done by the majority black ultra virus.
Ultra virus.
They were wrong. How can you come back to tell us something different yesterday?
Very controversial.
1 minute you telling all these people you couldn't go there because your president who have legitimized Bridget Kool. Another minute that these people been proceeding wrongly. But yet you have people to go defend your budget. It passed, you taking your benefit, your salary, and all of these things. Now yesterday, you say, oh, well, I will call the people illegitimate, but yet they are the people who discuss the budget and all of these things. Is it something that's set up in mockery, or is it intentional, or somebody trying to realize 1 or 2 mistakes?
This from the look of things, the way I'm seeing it, it appears to be something that seems to be a bit intentional. No one man will be making 4 to 5 statements towards the thing, and there's no certainty around any of the statement. He goes, so the next day he said different thing, and he repeated what he said. Or he said the other day when I spoke in the court opening in Nimba, the post said I would look at talk. He said it yesterday.
Yeah, I'll follow that. And this is what Honorable Bridget Kool, his statement, he said the leadership of the House of Representatives, I think, bar and through me, rejects in the strongest term the judgment of the Supreme Court that Fanatic Kofa, that former speaker, that's how he called it, he said former speaker Fanatic Kofa continues to be speaker, even though he was removed from the office by a resolution signed by 50 members of the House of Representatives. Representative Kool stated, the Supreme Court, in a decision on a bill of information filed by Speaker Kofa, ruled that all action and decision taken by the majority bloc, which had claimed to remove Kofa and install Kool as Speaker, were unconstitutional. We can't go any further. So where are we now? I need to know.
And another thing that is also coming from members of the executive, now as we speak, the Minister of Mines and Energy, Wilmer Pate, also reacted yesterday. And this is what he said. He said the Supreme Court of Liberia, by its majority opinion on yesterday, becomes the first Supreme Court in the world to render 2 separate opinions on the same matter. This has made the quarrel in the legislature even more complicated, if not impossible, for resolution anytime soon. How could members of the Supreme Court be more confused than the public? This is Wilmer Pate's statement, and yesterday as well, Muhammad Ali, popularly known as Mo Ali as well, also wrote, or he reacted to the court ruling yesterday. But it is important, folks, we will visit one after another so as to bring you these actors' statements after the court ruling. While the commoners at appropriate time, you have the time to speak to it. But in the face of all of these rigmaroles, halu-balu, the crisis or the impasse at the level of the House of Representatives, there exists challenging moment for the ordinary people. The Liberians are still faced with huge challenges, and some of these challenges have led to their lives being lost in the process. By this time, those elected should be the one paving the way, creating the avenue so as to exploit more jobs, or they should be the one doing things that will help to improve the living condition of ordinary people. They started this in October of last year. If we count from October to today's date, you know how many months we are talking about? When the court ruled, the executive is the one to implement the ruling of the court. Will President Boakat now muster the courage to implement the ruling of the court? Or will the president do what he can do in his power? Though there is separation of power in Article 3 of the Constitution, but where it has reached, it has passed the stage of being just looking at it and allow it to go down the drain. Those relevant individuals should seize
you know, Representative Kool now threatening impeachment.
But I told you,
for the folks there at the Supreme Court.
I told you the last time about Representative James Kool.
Yeah. And the former president, His Excellency Ambassador George Weah, he also called on President Joseph Boakai to uphold the rule of law in the wake of the decisive Supreme Court ruling. He released a statement yesterday describing the decision as a landmark opinion that reaffirmed the constitutional order of Liberia. And you all know that the Supreme Court on yesterday declared the majority bloc within the House of Representatives been operating illegally. But the majority bloc speaker, Richard Cohn, have said they reject that ruling from the Supreme Court. So there are mixed opinions and reaction. Yes.
You know, to be real, and this is my dissenting opinion as well on some of these speakers, some of these messengers. You know, sometimes I sit and wonder. Today, former President George Weah is calling on the Boakai administration to uphold or to have this court ruling to be implemented to the fullest. Yesterday, when he was president, when there were issues even ranging from the impeachment process of a former Associate Justice Kabede Janan and other issues that came under his watch or his gableship as president, when by then former Vice President House of Opinion and other stakeholders spoke, these were some of the very same things that they could not listen to. Now, listen, this is his statement. He said, today the Supreme Court of Liberia issued a landmark opinion regarding the Bill of Information filed by the Honorable Speaker of the House of Representatives, Councillor Jonathan Fonati-Kofa, and some members of the House. The court decisively declared that the actions of the so-called majority bloc in the House are unconstitutional and illegal. It reaffirmed that Speaker Jonathan Fonati-Kofa, in the voice of the former president, folks, in the words of the former speaker, the former president, and this is what he said. He said it reaffirmed that Speaker Jonathan Fonati-Kofa remains the legitimate and constitutional Speaker of the House of Representatives of the Republic of Liberia. This ruling is not merely a legal decision; it is a critical issues of the rule of law and the constitutional order that underpins our democracy. Let me be clear. Any attempt to undermine, ignore, or dismiss this ruling threatens the very foundation of our nation. It risks pumping Liberia into a constitutional crisis, a crisis that our fragile peace, hard-won stability, and democratic process cannot withstand. I called on President Joseph Boakai and his administration to respect this ruling and uphold constitutional order. Ignoring or rejecting the authority of our judiciary undermines our constitution and endangers our collective peace with consequences as well. Additionally, I urge our international partners and all supporters of Liberia to encourage the Boakai administration to uphold the rule of law and comply with the Supreme Court decision. You are our allies, and your investment have been important to Liberia's stability and the progress in democracy. To the people of Liberia, I say this: our democracy is founded on justice, legality, and the rule of law. It is our shared duty. It is our shared duty to defend these principles with unwavering resolve. We must stand united and firm in support and protection of our Constitution regardless of political pressures or challenges. Our future depends on our collective commitment to uphold these scarce values. Liberia's strength lies in our adherence to justice, that the former president speaking, and our respect for the rule of law. As we face this critical moment, let us reaffirm our dedication to building a peaceful, stable, and prosperous Liberia, one that remains a backbone of democracy and hope in this region. May the God continue to bless Liberia and guide us all in this critical time. His Excellency Dr. George Manawiya Sr., former President of the Republic of Liberia. Folks,
now you see, that's a good one from the former president, that we uphold the rule of law. But come to think about this, while serving as president, you have the folks who openly brag in the open that they were going to remove Cabinet Janet. The likes of Deputy Speaker Thomas Fada that they expect from the party. The likes of former Representative Moses Caribbean. These are people who said they were the ring leader for the impeachment. And the former president sat there, he did nothing. But today, people will shift blame to the president and say, the president now and looking at, but you sat to yesterday and watched these things happen. Decision now coming from the Supreme Court is a decision that you want to question. Or you're telling people to respect it. Good call. That's right. What did you do? You know how many times you violated the Constitution? Manasali did it, I don't know how many 100 times. So you did yours. President Baka is doing his as well.
So what they have portrayed, Wiki, is that when they are into the position, they get blinded by the leadership. When they leave, at that moment, their sight is very clear, sharp. Their ears are wide open. They are more reactive than being proactive when they were there. All of these things.
You're talking about threatening to remove people from the Supreme Court bench. The Chief Justice is leaving in June. James Kool, are you a serious man?
I told you how this
representative young man has become so apprehensive, and people trying him as somebody who been very disorderly now.
I told you this lawmaker,
his disorderly conduct is reaching to the place that I don't know whether he's drunk by power, obsessed by power. Now,
very arrogant.
Right now, the position the people didn't tell you the highest court in the land. They have told you that position is illegal.
The lawmaker is very arrogant. I said it, and I stand by what I am saying. Representative James Kool of District 2, Bon County is very arrogant. And he must try to desist with immediate effect. The highest court in the land will say this, and you want to threaten those who made it, those who gave the ruling, the impeachment process. And interestingly,
and if the Supreme Court yesterday the ruling, because nobody involved them, the ruling yesterday, meaning Jim Kool have been taking pay illegally.
But that's
so would they not say they will restitute? The former president who was talking about the rule of law, he been receiving his benefit as well. The illegal budget. Through illegal budget.
Yeah.
So can we say that he carried a rep back? The former vice president who was speaking? Even the president of Kuala are receiving money also.
All of them taking illegal money. All the money, all of them.
It tells us that everybody being getting paid illegally. So where do we go from here?
In fact, even the ordinary
people themselves understand These things are critical national issues. When we're discussing it, you see people, they will be sending you messages. The good thing about it, I don't read those things. As soon as I'm normally copy numbers. So as soon as I say I'm in delete, don't waste your time sending me messages. The messages I can read are messages that are logical. I don't read messages.
What are you talking about?
Put political government on you to send it to me. Then one man called me and said, "Oh, yeah, I refer to you." I don't apologize to people for that. I refer to you as Jack Rabbit. Little Moon, whether you like it or not.
What kind of attitude or what kind of posture James Kool always putting out? Who he think he is? You are just given a privilege. It is never your right. It is never your right. You just putting up a kind of attitude as though the people of District 2 in Bon County should even regret why they even voted you. You have to be very careful.
You know, when these people get into this position, they are humble. But, you know, it takes absolutely nothing from you accepting the ruling from the court. It builds your reputation to make people understand, yes, this is a decision from the court. And initially, they all were stating whatever decision comes from the court, they will respect it. In split second, right after the ruling, they are now rejecting it. What are you rejecting? What are you rejecting? These are the issues.
A worth looking deep into.
Okay, folks, this is the morning ride, and you know, it's something that you know we don't.
My phone, couple of messages are just coming in.
No, don't bother.
No, I'm not bothered about that. We get, like I told someone, coming into this profession, I was led by my mind. No one instructed me, so no amount of empty words can move me. Don't put water in your mouth, you shake it, then you think it scared me. It's not possible. It's not possible. You know, this problem at the level of the House of Representatives, my colleague is from the House of Representatives. He said what as the House of Representatives reporters, what they have observed in more recent time, it has clearly speak to the fact that there is no easy way the impasse at the level of the House of Representatives ending soon. There is no way. There is no way. So now the issue is the Speaker, Jonathan Fonati-Kofa, have said as of yesterday he will now try to start engaging his colleagues, ranging from those who he named as the Deputy Speaker, the majority member speaker from their side, and going onward to. But believe me, these lawmakers who are part of the majority bloc, they are not prepared to negotiate with Jonathan Fonati-Kofa, the speaker, because they feel more threatened on his gavel shape just in case he resurfaces as speaker. Some of these popular or most lucrative committee that they are currently occupying, they will be taken off. Because some of the members of the majority bloc, their quest into his removal over the time has been some personal benefit. It has been on the basis of personal benefit. You can see from all indications that some of the committees these people are occupying right now as we speak are committees they long waited for, they long been hustling for. Because if they will say that the proceeding under the leadership or under the gavelship of Jonathan Fonati-Kofa as Speaker of the House was all not in the best interest of the ordinary people, for that reason they came out and did all they could to have him removed. As we speak, some of them have accelerated from ordinary committees to Ways, Means and Finance, Deputy Ways, Means and Finance. You see the public account, you go to the Rules, Order and Administration, gyms, currently occupied are getting so drunk, so power drunk, you don't even know what to say. He's just all around the place, carrying on some attitude that seems not to be even something that resembles to be an ordinary man. You will have to sit and think about Liberia. Over the years, people frown at previous lawmakers. For that reason, you are given privilege. It is not your right. The employers are the one you should be seeking an interest. But from the local things, many of you have presented your own case rather than the ordinary people case. And these cases must be cases that you should look at.
Let me say, upholding the rule of law with the ruling from the Supreme Court, nobody needs to tell the Inspector General of Police, the EPS or NSA bots to recall these officers that you people went and assigned to these people. You are there to uphold the law, and that's why you are in those positions. Jim Colette, as a representative, you were elected. Since he became chairman on Rules, Order Administration, he got security for assigned to the house.
Oh yes.
You know he's a stone throw from where we broadcast.
Certainly.
And about to move.
How you not move?
You got officers that are assigned with him. You got officers that are assigned at his house. These officers should be removed at this time from that. Let's talk about the law.
They will not do it.
Recall them.
They will not do
Those
it.
behind Richard Kool should be recalled as well.
They will not do it. This seems to be very intentional. Somebody somewhere is behind this particular thing. Somebody somewhere is behind this. And that's the reason why from the local things you will see it from all indication that these lawmakers from the majority black, they are not just acting on their own. Someone somewhere is giving them a huge assurance. And when these assurances are given, you will certainly smell the level of deficiency.
No. That means they are not being sincere to the people that they represent. Because they are not controlled by one person sitting somewhere. They work for people. They represent people. So they must be in consultation with their people as it relates to their actions, as it relates to their decision. But all of what taking place, there have never been consultation back home.
None of them, all members of the majority bloc of the House of Representatives, none of them ever consulted any of their districts before their quest to ensure that the speaker is removed, because in their words, they did not inform their constituencies leading to the election of the speaker. So when they are removing the speaker, they do not go back for any consultation. Granted.
Okay, shortly before we go to the lines, let me quickly just say to all of you, welcome, and those of you who having some of the problems, talking about also rheumatism, growth, low blood pressure, stroke, and you can just go to Married for Life Healing Center International there at Bonan's Fire Community opposite the tissue factory. They got the Marie Maga hot tea. So you can call these numbers 0776 369 805, 0776 369 805, 0888 856 776, 0888 856 776. Call these numbers, go there, explain exactly what you've been suffering from, whether that's low blood pressure, sexual transmitted diseases, you got ulcer, you got rheumatism, you got PAD, your sight is so short or is getting bad.
Yeah.
There are a lot of other things. Men who cannot perform properly, or women who have been married for a long period of time, you go there, they will give you the dose is there, they will teach you how to drink it, they will give you the measurement, and explain to you how much it costs. But you can call. The numbers are read out for you. Just get there. It's right in Painsville. They're currently in 4 counties. They're there in Lofak, Vonjeman, Zozo. They're there in Grantanima County. They're in Bangabong County. They're here in Painsville, Mosurari. So when you get there, please ask them some of the hard questions. They are licensed from the Ministry of Health, from the Ministry of Internal Affairs as well. The health is not imported, made right here from trees, roots, and other things. Liberian own health. They will give you the prescription, they'll tell you how to use it. When you're taking it, they'll tell you don't drink alcohol, don't smoke, you don't take in snug, and other things. That's some of those things. But once you call these numbers that we called earlier, you can get there. Back to what we are discussing.
So let me bring on Alexander Cummings, the political leader of the Alternative National Congress, and this is what he said in his write-up yesterday evening hours. I extend my commendation to the Honorable Supreme Court of the Republic of Liberia for its recent ruling, which once again reaffirmed the court unwavering commitment to the rule of law, constitutional order, and judicial independence. In the face of a political tension and uncertainty, the court has spoken with authority and fairness. Its ruling provides a necessary foundation for national stability and reaffirms that the laws of our country must be respected by all, regardless of position or political alignment. I also wish to acknowledge and commend Honorable Speaker J. Fonanti Kovan for his courage, restraint, and statesmanship, his steadfastness during this period, and his expressed willingness to make the utmost sacrifice in defense of Liberia's democratic value and constitutional framework are acts of patriotism that deserve recognition. In times like these, true leadership is defined not by personal ambition, but by one's readiness to place country above self. Now, the responsibility lies with President Joseph Numa Boakai Sr. I respectfully call on the President to fully uphold and enforce the Supreme Court ruling without delay. As the custodian of our Constitution and the foremost public servant of the Republic, he must demonstrate respect for the rule of law and the authority of our courts. Anything less could undermine public confidence in the governance of our nation. Liberia's progress depends on the integrity of our institutions and the moral courage of our leaders. Let us each do our part in protecting our democratic and securing a better future for generations to come. Alexander Benedict Cummings, the political leader of the Alternative National Congress. And believe me, there are press conferences expected today.
Yeah, sure.
So people believe in not releasing a press statement, but rather they will have a press conference and speak to the issue. So a couple of press conferences are expected today.
Okay, folks, you are the judges out there. You've been following yesterday and today, and we have been able to present all of these things at your doorsteps, your offices, and your homes, wherever you are, as it relates to what's unfolding. Liberia waited for months. Yesterday, the final ruling for the Supreme Court stated that the folks from the majority black been acting illegally. What do you make of this? They passed budget, they discussed budget, and these very people who have declared them as illegitimate been receiving the salary and benefits. The other lawmakers on the side have been suspended. They also been receiving salary and benefits for the very people that have been declared? Where do we, is it time that they restitute? How do we rewrite the wrongs? Can we go now to undo what has already been done?
And the fact that the budget is illegal, there are current individuals in some civil society institutions that themselves they are calling on the Chief Justice to be, they want to take the lead.
Yeah, because some
to restitute
the
illegal pay they've been taking.
So call us on 0775 919 919 0880 919 919. Good morning.
Good morning, Ricky Bronson.
Go ahead.
We are missing over time pass. Some of us, we are confused on this Supreme Court here. I think the best lesson was done for us at the time Jeff Monade offer at the time speaker or Ibadan speaker from the bill of accreditation. I think the Supreme Court should just stop that from working or from proceeding. Because if they have done that, where we are now, they're telling us saying they are illegal. I think no, they were from stopping them from working at the time. The very reacting, we expect them to come back. They did not. The very tradition are telling us that if one is being proceeding illegal, while they have gone away, past budget, also government features for budget year and all of those things, and they are the scenes of people who need benefit salaries and other police that call themselves rule of law orders. So, in that case, how can we reconcile that with them supporting the violation of the constitutions? How can we compare that to tell people say, I'm already illegal and you are receiving benefits from the illegal budget?
Okay, thank you. Let's stick to the 1 minute that we give you. Good morning.
Yeah, good morning, Wiggy. Good morning, Brian.
Go ahead.
I'm listening to all our political leaders. I regarded the yesterday from the Supreme Court. I think we view only the Supreme Court responsible for certain things. For what? This is the first time and the last time they are spoken. When I mean, they have been exposed as remarks, completely remarks, and regarding particular thing. And I hear people now calling on the president to take gas. I agree. Say, the majority was not legitimate. I will call the president the other day to take order from the Supreme Court now to ICE. Let you suspend every other salary until we can go to the new form. And all that good salary, let them bring it back so that we can go back to the budget and see what happened to this country. One way it was not right yesterday, it's not right today. So say you're illegal and you were taking salary, let them bring that money back, invest in your own money, what is because that means all they were in the wrong. All they were in the wrong. So let them bring that money back and so that we can go back to the budget. Thank you this morning.
Thank you. Let's talk to other callers. Good morning.
Good morning.
You're welcome.
Yeah, good morning. I'm Joseph Raymond. I joined you from Central Bay this morning. Let me say this. Supreme Court is the problem in this country. On the other hand, they will see the reality, the bypassing. On the other hand, they will see the rule of law, what will help the country, because it is not in the power that be interest, and they want to work or work the way the power that be. Then they will say, this is wrong, this is right. They see guys that say majority, they are in the wrong, they are illegal. When you get to realize that, they see majority pass the budget. One of that signature, you taking pay. See what someone taking pay. And the same majority, the same legislature, when issue with Cabinet Janet, it was wrong. But where were you? The same bench, the same Supreme Court. You came, you said it is okay to impeach Cabinet Janet, which you know that it was illegal. Because there was influence on the other side. Today again, you came back and said this and that. The ruling that you gave today, you are giving it, this is the 10th time. What you were voting for? You wanted chaos, you wanted problem before you come up with this. Supreme Court is a problem. On a serious note, if the Supreme Court does not come back to do the right thing between God and man, the country will not be settled, not be friend. Cabinet Janet issue, why the people who did not come up to say, no, this is wrong, no, pressure and they agree, they succumb to that pressure. Today, here the other side here. So it's a conflicting something they want to put probably.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. 1 minute each, please. Please stick to that. Go ahead. Go ahead.
This one normally on my page, while commenting on your page, I always say personal teacher, instructor. Because every morning you wake up in your house, you go over and teach me the library book, some of the things that I want to do. So yesterday, I monitor the former president, Ambassador John Mane, we are on a free face, discussing about the rule of law. It shut me down. When it happened yesterday, the Kabila General issue, the Supreme Court said reinstate the mayor. You refuse. Later they got out of the one. Before you had to carry the case to one or everyone coach. Everyone said reinstate the mayor or pay the mayor out. You refuse. Now you are sitting here today discussing about rule of law. And lately is that Supreme Court instigated the process. They are the final habitat of our cases in the bureau. When it started yesterday, they said on the ultra virus. Today, where are we? You sat down there, the budget passed through, you've been receiving your salary, then you have come out again waiting at a break time, saying, all the things I do, you are the cause of it. The process started yesterday, why you not call them off? You allow it to grow. They have grown down to contain it is difficult. Let me tell you today, Honorable Rachel will not going to accept their ruling. The majority of black will go on, the process will go on. We can't elaborate, but we are not free in the place.
Okay, thank you. Let's talk to our callers on the line. Good morning. Yeah, good morning. Go ahead.
What the former president did yesterday, just said he was wrong. And the reason you're voted against the former president. And now, the former president doesn't want to do it. I said people say the former president doesn't want to do it. Man, why you're giving the power? You're giving the power to do everything. Now, the president did wrong at that time. You're going to correct the wrong at the president did at that time. So why you people say the president was sitting at that time, not saying it, he's talking about wrong. Why now you're giving the power to do everything? Everything is wrong at the president. You're going to correct it. Why are you correcting it? Why are you going to say anything about the former president? Thank you, man.
Thank you. Good morning.
Good morning.
Go ahead.
Good morning,
Good morning, brother.
Yes, I'm administrator. And we keep at times the relative the president of. I remember Jane Nathaniel Bass said, look, this government, the people very calculated in the habitat. And so that it's not something.
Got a very bad
The
network.
line is very bad. Network. Hope you can find a better place to call. Good morning.
Good morning.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Good morning to Emmanuel Adije too. So the name is Abraham Sasewo Jero, and I joined from District Social Clinic. So I understand and see our friends from the political parties struggling to make their thought in money. Look, we run out service. Why are someone talking about Lagos is supposed to refuse? I call it what they were bad, refuse salary. I think it's an argument, right? The Supreme Court came on agree to put up pass around looking for kids around. You have to get kids and carry to them and look into it. So the thing is, yesterday we all said, former president, we are they were in the wrong. Those things they said about Kaduna Genesis, they were in the wrong about the book, put on their call. So what the things today, when we say the book, they were yesterday, about the book, they all want today, there's no change. The government there, it's trying to come to power to preach.
Let's talk to other callers. Good morning.
Morning, my name is Elijah Porter from USP, Elijah Porter.
Go ahead, sir.
Yeah, my teacher then gone to the recent Supreme Court meeting. The Supreme Court is a who claim for the first time and say, what happened to those hours was also power. And then they refuse to listen to the Supreme Court to what it is. So now the Copa, the speaker is went to the Supreme Court and the Supreme Court to find a bill of information. And it is the information the Supreme Court is giving us. So why is people saying
Let's talk to other callers. You're live. Go ahead. Okay, let's talk to other callers. Good morning.
Good morning, Wiki.
Go ahead.
Yeah, my name is John Drew, and I call from the headquarters of Barcelona, Liberia. Wiki, we want to thank the members of the Supreme Court for making this ruling very clear. Liberia has come a crossroad, and at this time, our national leader, including the president of Liberia, we need to ensure that the ruling of the Supreme Court is enforced, that is the content of the executive branch.
To Almighty God, in genuine respect and love for our country, endowed in a resilient and good people. Today, the Supreme Court of
Let's talk to other callers. Good morning.
Good morning, Ambassador Wiki.
Go ahead.
And good morning to our people of individual of district overseas. My name is Luther, no minister in Chicago, district 6, most of the country. And let us like it. They have on the news this morning. Bringing the government in power. The hierarchy of the UNIT party, they said that the former president was not respecting the rule of law. So they brought in the court, the president, like the higher court in his country. The way the Liberian way the same thing. We can still respect our higher court in the country. Meaning, we are telling investors, we are telling the business people, don't want to come and be business our country. No, we now have no good rule of law in our country. We now have strong justice in our country. We now respect our higher court in this country. That's what we are telling them. So the president should recall the children that behind the quote-unquote speaker. Then we will know that you fucking rule of law. If the president not doing it, then the president blaspheme on you just want to look at the rich yourself and go and enjoy it.
Let's talk to other callers. Good morning.
Good morning, Wiki. This is Frank calling from the forum.
Go ahead.
Yeah, okay. We want to appreciate every effort I have been made. Some way, somehow down the road, Supreme Court through the initiated a lot of stuff. They are the arbitral jurisdiction of justice in the land. So the only thing they should have done from the usual state, they should have put up to it. But they partake in the money that is illegal. So are they telling us they are illegal taking money? So all those things that they are saying that are not correct for our justice.
Liberia reaffirm and upheld the rule of law in what has been termed the legislative impasse. As we have pledged, the ruling of the court will be our last bus stop. And the
Okay, thank you. We'll continue with the discussion this morning, but let's take this break. Let's take this commercial break and then, let's take this commercial break this morning. When we come back, we'll continue with more discussion on this platform this morning.
to Almighty God, in genuine respect and love for our country, endowed in a resilient and good people. Today, the Supreme Court of Liberia reaffirmed and upheld the rule of law in what has been termed the legislative impasse. As we have pledged, The ruling of the court will be our last bus stop, and the court has ruled, effectively recognizing that our leadership holds the constitutional mandate of the first branch of government, and we welcome that ruling. We are truly grateful to God who has given us the strength over the past 6 months to endure the endurable and suffer the insufferable. To my colleagues who have stood up for the rule of law at great peril to their political and financial lives, my sincere salute. Societies become great when ordinary men and women rise up to do extraordinary things. Today you walk into history with the wind at your back and the thanks of a grateful nation. To the hundreds of thousands of Liberians here and around the world who on bended knees prayed with us, texted a word of encouragement, held us up lest we fall, and believed in us, we are truly grateful. Without you, this advancement in our democracy would not have been possible. We will always remember, we will always be proud, and we will always be your servants. To our colleagues on the other side, we identify with your just grievances and call on you to join us and end the stalemate at Capitol Hill. Come, let us reason together. In the words of President John F. Kennedy, remembering on both sides that civility is not a sign of weakness and sincerity is always subject to proof. Let us not negotiate out of fear, but let us not fear to negotiate. I will reach out to Deputy Speaker Thomas Fowler and Honorable Richard Kool Mornng so that we establish a joint reconciliation and transitional committee. I am not unmindful that reconciliation and progress may require that I make the ultimate sacrifice, and I am not unwilling to pay that price. But please let us show this nation how democracies are built. May the Almighty God bless the works of our hands and save the Republic. So, Almighty God, in genuine respect and love for our country, endowed in a resilient and good people, today the Supreme Court of Liberia reaffirmed and upheld the rule of law in what has been termed the legislative impasse. As we have pledged, the ruling of the court will be our last bus stop, and the court has ruled, effectively recognizing that our leadership holds the constitutional mandate of the first branch of government, and we welcome that ruling. We are truly grateful to God who has given us the strength over the past 6 months to endure the endurable and suffer the insufferable. To my colleagues who have stood up for the rule of law at great peril to their political and financial lives, my sincere salute. Societies become great when ordinary men and women rise up to do extraordinary things. Today you walk into history with the wind at your back and the thanks of a grateful nation. To the hundreds of thousands of Liberians here and around the world who on bended knees prayed with us, texted a word of encouragement, held us up lest we fall, and believed in us, we are truly grateful. Without you, this advancement in our democracy would not have been possible. We will always remember, we will always be proud, and we will always be your servants. To our colleagues on the other side, we identify with your just grievances and call on you to join us and end the stalemate at Capitol Hill. Come, let us reason together. In the words of President John F. Kennedy, remembering on both sides that civility is not a sign of weakness and sincerity is always subject to proof. Let us not negotiate out of fear, but let us not fear to negotiate. I will reach out to Deputy Speaker Thomas Fowler and Honorable Richard Kool Mornng so that we establish a joint reconciliation and transitional committee. I am not unmindful that reconciliation and progress may require that I make the ultimate sacrifice, and I am not unwilling to pay that price. But please let us show this nation how democracies are built. May the Almighty God bless the works of our hands and save the Republic. To Almighty God, in genuine respect and love for our country, endowed in a resilient and good people, today the Supreme Court of Liberia reaffirmed and upheld the rule of law in what has been termed the legislative impasse. As we have pledged, the ruling of the court will be our last bus stop, and the court has ruled, effectively recognizing that our leadership holds the constitutional mandate of the first branch of government, and we welcome that ruling. We are truly grateful to God who has given us the strength over the past 6 months to endure the endurable and suffer the insufferable. To my colleagues who have stood up for the rule of law at great peril to their political and financial lives, my sincere salute. Societies become great when ordinary men and women rise up to do extraordinary things. Today you walk into history with the wind at your back and the thanks of a grateful nation. To the hundreds of thousands of Liberians here and around the world who on bended knees prayed with us, texted a word of encouragement, held us up lest we fall, and believed in us, we are truly grateful. Without you, this advancement in our democracy would not have been possible. We will always remember, we will always be proud, and we will always be your servants. To our colleagues on the other side, we identify with your just grievances and call on you to join us and end the stalemate at Capitol Hill. Come, let us reason together. In the words of President John F. Kennedy, remembering on both sides that civility is not a sign of weakness and sincerity is always subject to proof. Let us not negotiate out of fear, but let us not fear to negotiate. I will reach out to Deputy Speaker Thomas Fowler and Honorable Richard Kool Mornng so that we establish a joint reconciliation and transitional committee. I am not unmindful that reconciliation and progress may require that I make the ultimate sacrifice, and I am not unwilling to pay that price. But please let us show this nation how democracies are built. May the Almighty God bless the works of our hands and save the Republic. To Almighty God, in genuine respect and love for our country, endowed in a resilient and good people, today the Supreme Court of Liberia reaffirmed and upheld the rule of law in what has been termed the legislative impasse. As we have pledged, the ruling of the court will be our last bus stop, and the court has ruled, effectively recognizing that our leadership holds the constitutional mandate of the first branch of government, and we welcome that ruling. We are truly grateful to God who has given us the strength over the past 6 months to endure the endurable and suffer the insufferable. To my colleagues who have stood up for the rule of law at great peril to their political and financial lives, my sincere salute. Societies become great when ordinary men and women rise up to do extraordinary things. Today you walk into history with the wind at your back and the thanks of a grateful nation. To the hundreds of thousands of Liberians here and around the world who on bended knees prayed with us, texted a word of encouragement, held us up lest we fall, and believed in us, we are truly grateful. Without you, this advancement in our democracy would not have been possible. We will always remember, we will always be proud, and we will always be your servants. To our colleagues on the other side, we identify with your just grievances and call on you to join us and end the stalemate at Capitol Hill. Come, let us reason together. In the words of President John F. Kennedy, remembering on both sides that civility is not a sign of weakness and sincerity is always subject to proof. Let us not negotiate out of fear, but let us not fear to negotiate. I will reach out to Deputy Speaker Thomas Fowler and Honorable Richard Kool so that we establish a joint reconciliation and transitional committee. I am not unmindful that reconciliation and progress may require that I make the ultimate sacrifice, and I am not unwilling to pay that price. But please let us show this nation how democracies are built. May the Almighty God bless the works of our hands and save the Republic. To Almighty God, in genuine respect and love for our country, endowed in a resilient and good people. Today, the Supreme Court of Liberia reaffirmed and upheld the rule of law in what has been termed the legislative impasse. As we have pledged, the ruling of the court will be our last bus stop, and the court has ruled, effectively recognizing that our leadership holds the constitutional mandate of the first branch of government, and we welcome that ruling. We are truly grateful to God who has given us the strength over the past 6 months to endure the endurable and suffer the insufferable. To my colleagues who have stood up for the rule of law at great peril to their political and financial lives, my sincere salute. Societies become great when ordinary men
and go to Mary Magar Healing, Mary Magar for Life Healing Center International there, curing all of these sicknesses that you all just get there and call all of the numbers that was there. You know, let's move to the Supreme Court has finally ruled. We wait to see the full implementation, though we are receiving reports, statements, and reactions from the Supreme Court ruling from both parties and other stakeholders in the body politics of our country. But we wait to see how our international partners will respond. Emmanuel, you were fortunate enough to have been in my country for the by-election that took place on Tuesday, wanting to replace the late Senator Prince Ward Johnson. Give a clear picture of what took place. How was it like? The turnout, we get a report at the turnout, but now the Elections Commission yesterday, the latest report that it is a bit ahead again, but we're seeing celebration for both terms. What's going on?
Well, this is one tactic that was applied during the 2023 legislative and presidential election. You saw at some point in time, you saw that the ruling party by them was celebrating while the opposition was celebrating. It was just the case. Yesterday, Ile Gongowe took the lead narrowly.
Yeah.
When you do your mathematics, you understand somewhere around 550 votes was actually the difference between two of them. But when you listen to
and it said out of the 736 polling places tally is not the full out of the 736 have been counted so far. So here we're now takes the lead with 7,275 votes, representing 46.55% of the valid ballots counted closely followed by Samuel G. Koga with 6,725 votes, accounting for 43.03% of the valid ballot thus far. So this is where we are. So say out of the total of 15,984 votes counted, 15,629 were deemed valid, while 353 votes were considered invalid by the NEC.
Yeah. So per the calculation yesterday, Elif Gongo were 7,275 votes. Then the next person in line is Representative Samuel Koga, 6,725 votes. So when you do the mathematics, you take the actual number from Elif Gongo where is 7,275, and when you take 6,725 votes from that, you have 550 votes. That was the difference on yesterday. But before the day came to an end yesterday, there has been this tally sheet coming from the ongoing process in NIMBA. And when you take a look at the tally sheet, you will understand that they have counted. So this report is expected to be up to date. So they have counted 100% report. And I'm reading from the sheet, and it says the Republic of Liberia, the National Elections Commission, NEC, progressive tally report consolidated. Senate, Wednesday, April 23rd, 2025, 5:27 p.m. is the time this report came out, and that pronouncement is expected today, hopefully. And so this is what it captured. 314 polling places out of the 736 polling places, 42.68%. All of the candidates are here, and what it says here, it says the total valid votes is 51,277. The total valid votes 51,277, which is 100%, and the total invalid vote is 1,214. The total vote comprising of the valid and invalid votes is 52,491. Out of this, you have Elif Gongo where have 22,480. Let me get it. Yes, with 43.80%. While Representative Samuel Koga has 22,588 votes, constituting 44.05% of the total vote, and the rest is going all around the table. So per this particular tally report with the stamp of the National Elections Commission, all bearing this tally sheet, let's do our mathematics and know the margin difference between the two of them. So from the look of things now, it is Representative Samuel Koga that is in the lead from this tally sheet. So 22,588 take away 22,460. Take away 22,460 votes. So 128 votes margin as it stands.
And the National Elections Commission, the calendar, officially have stated that the final results of the by-election will be on May 2.
Very good.
So whoever say, you'll be celebrating, but the National Elections Commission said May 2nd, 2025, the announcement of the final results. That's the calendar event they have released. Except they decide to change it, but as it stands, that's the information of.
That is,
we are seeing
they will do the declaration on that
pre-celebration, and which of course we spoke about this, that people need to be mindful because that's how people end up in court. Though one or two of the contestants have already congratulated the other party or have conceded defeat, which is good to democracy to say yes, we accept, but we wait to see the process. So how was the process? That's what I asked you.
So the process was actually peaceful for polling places and other voting areas we visited while in Nima. We did not see anything of violence, though it's normal in these kind of by-election that the polling places or the turnout might appear to be very low because the fact that people will not be in the queue as you normally see on October 10th during the general election. The polling places are overcrowded up, and that is the only day you find polling places in this country very, very, very packed. But even the runoff election, people will sit home. I'll go to vote 2 o'clock. He or she will just walk, go and cast their ballot and go home. Similar situation was observed in Neymar as well. And from all indication, they did what they could do, and you see the kind of number that voted. 52,000 plus voters voted, and the results are coming out. But the issue now is, yesterday, Madam Ile Bongo spoke to her supporters. They should not be over happy. They should calm down. This is an electoral process for her. She have observed and she knows exactly how to overcome some of these things. But no one should be over happy. Let it remain calm until the final results is announced.
Yeah, because we've been seeing a lot of videos on the social media of people celebrating. Even you see some of the videos, you see Senator Yantoine and his wife dancing early this morning, celebrating. People at Madam Ile were arrested and also celebrating. And so I think they need to speak to their supporters, regardless of what they have in their possession, that tells, look, we have won this. It's a bit patient. Respect the election guidelines, and wait for the official pronouncement from because all of what we will say is unofficial until finally the full results are out and declaring who has won. But anything short of that, we just item doing things, yeah. But I think that we need to wait and see who replaces Senator Johnson, the late Senator of Nima County, who the lone outstanding senator. But these are some of the issues that we're talking about, and we're looking at the issue from the Supreme Court on yesterday, but mixed reaction from folks.
So let me manage to bring on Madam Ile, who spoke to her supporters on yesterday, and let's see as much as possible to get her on so you can listen to her.
slow down and jubilation. God can be happy. Okay. But not just calm down. This is the war. We're looking good. Yeah, but good. We are looking good.
Interesting. And so you listen to her. I think it's not an old business to Madam Ile. She said from her heart, it's something that she almost used to it now. For some of you just coming on, so calm down, slow down, take your own time. It is never over until it is finally over. In the football term, you say until the final whistle is blown by the referee. Until then, you gotta be watching out. Anybody, any minute, goal can come. And I think this message is worth commending to her, because when we very same ordinary people are all happy, and sometimes they can only react. These are some of the reasons why you can find electoral violence. The fact that she's coming in very early and telling the people, say, hey, you have to calm down. You can be happy, but do not be all happy. Cool the celebration down.
And that's what she said. Like I said earlier, you wait for the final result. And that's what she said. You know, because you just don't know where the top turns. And you could be celebrating at the end of the day, you have another result that turns it around and you start to regret it.
Yeah.
And you think you've been cheated in the process, but to exercise patience and wait for the final result from the National Elections Commission, when they put up and tells you that you won or you did not, if you are dissatisfied, there are processes, there are ways you can go about expressing your dissatisfaction with the results, and we move to the next level. But folks, we need to exercise patience. So these are two of the issues we are discussing this morning. You know, Liberians all been waiting over the months for a constitutional order at the lower court. At the lower house, the House of Representatives, and we all got it on yesterday. But there are mixed reaction from key actors in our political corridors, asking that the executive, the president, you know, people keep dragging the president into this matter. What he have to say in that, but they have also said that the separate branch of government, nobody can interfere into the workings, the judiciary, and that's why the majority bloc rejected the ruling. The former president is now saying the Bwaka-led administration should uphold the rule of law, should respect it. Fingers been pointed at him that he yesterday did not respect. There are folks who say he respected it, and there are folks who are saying from the other side that it's a landmark ruling and it's a true democracy practice, and we must be able to respect that. But come to think about it, after this ruling, will the lawmakers who on the other side refer to as the majority black actually will decide to say, yeah, well, let's go and sit on a Bufonati Kofa? Or will he now see it as something that, as a legal person, yeah, I took my case to the higher court and it ruled in my favor. I will now resign because I know even if I decide to go, my colleague will say, not come on me. Where do we go from here?
Another drama have started. Believe me.
Yeah.
Another drama at the level of the Liberia House of Representatives have started.
Who do we call now? Are we waiting for one statement from the United States government, from the European Union, from ECOWAS, from AU, to condemn that after the ruling from the highest court, yet and still we are proceeding in this form and manner?
Only America.
Who willing to lower the shoulders?
Trust me, with all of what is going on, when America right now speak, you see, the whole country will shake.
Yeah.
And yesterday, during the evening hours, I read something from one of the representatives from the U.S. and he represented Royal Island, and he is a Liberian, and this is what he said. Royal Island Representative Nathaniel
actually, to respect the rule of law,
Band declared enough is enough. A bold call to action for Liberia's future following the Supreme Court landmark ruling. And this is why he said, my fellow Liberian, he is a representative of the U.S.
Yeah.
He said, my fellow Liberians, today I come to you with a sense of concern and optimism for the future of our beloved country, Liberia. The Supreme Court, the highest arbiter of justice in our land, has spoken. And as a nation that believes in the rule of law, we must all, on both sides, respect and accept this decision. It is time to move forward. It is time to heal. It is time to put aside our differences and do the work the Liberian people elected us to do. To my fellow lawmakers, my brothers and sisters in leadership, let us take a long, honest look at ourselves. At what time do we stop putting politics first and start putting our people first? Every day our citizens are struggling. There is no reliable health care. Mental health is neglected. Our educational system is failing to prepare the next generation. Decent housing is out of reach for too many families. The roads are broken and unsafe. Our infrastructure is also terrible. Communities are cut off. Development is slow, and hope is far from places where it should be placed at this time. This basic quality, the basic quality of life in our country, the land we love, is far from what our people deserve. We cannot continue like this. We must do better. You were not elected to fight each other, or you were elected to fight for our people. You were elected to fight for our people. They are tired. They are waiting. And they are watching. And it is not only the people of Liberia who are watching. The United States of America is watching. The European Union is watching. And the entire international community is watching. They are watching to see if we will put the Liberian people first. They are watching to see if we can raise above partisanship and stand for the progress. They are watching to see whether their leaders will choose service over self. Let this moment be a turning point. Let it be the day we say enough is enough. We will lead with passion or compassion. We will govern with purpose, and we will serve with humility. The people of Liberia deserve more than promises. They deserve action. They deserve leadership rooted in the beloved country of ours, not love for power. May God bless the Supreme Court of Liberia. May God bless our lawmakers with wisdom, and may God bless the Republic of Liberia. Thank you, Representative Nathaniel Bye. Royal Island.
Okay, folks, you listen to that, and we are here. There are
somebody is outside of Liberia more concerned for lawmakers to have wisdom.
Yeah. So we don't know where we go from here now, because rejections are already been made by the Supreme Court landmark ruling yesterday, and Nima County, before the official pronouncement of the result, celebration is taking place on the two camps. But one person is asking that the camp should lower because the final result are not out yet. But other folks are pointing at the Supreme Court for being responsible or having a part to play in this long outstanding. Without ruling yesterday, should have been done long since. Then we will know where we are. What part the President of the Republic of Liberia had to say in this matter, when they have said that the President should not intervene into the matter that is political. There is normal political practice. The President is a normal legislative
It's a normal legislative
So now
proceeding.
people pointing finger at the president, while others are pointing finger at the judiciary. That what you did yesterday is welcoming, but you should have done that long time. You part and parcel of the problem. So these people will not respect you. Let's go to the lines and talk to our callers on the line again this morning. They are the judges out there. Good morning.
Good morning. A pleasant good morning, a pleasant good morning, Emmanuel, to and the entire group and family and to those in radio there. My name is Gladman Selko and currently I'm calling from Johnsonville. My attention has been drawn to the two, that is the election in Nema and the ruling from the Supreme Court. You see, now the question is, who respects the Supreme Court? And every day, the Liberal will wait patiently to hear from the Supreme Court on a house matter. Another day, the same. We will sit patiently awaiting a good result from the Supreme Court. On and on, till finally, you have come up with something that the majority black is saying you will not honor. So when we go from there, they say, definitely you will not honor that ruling. And it depends. And so now to River County, we hope that at the end of the day, when the final result is announced, whoever in favors, this is Nigeria, River is accounting, let's be peaceful, let's wait and see what happens so that our expectation will not fail us and then we start to do something different. Thank you for your opportunity.
You're welcome. Let's talk to other callers. You're live.
Yeah, good morning.
Go ahead.
Yeah, you're speaking with Sakina Zam on the other room.
Oh, Dakian, go ahead.
Yeah, I think you people should make it clear you should educate the public like yesterday was not ruling, but rather interpretation of
That's ruling. The interpretation, that's a ruling. To finally give a clear ruling of, because they interpreted the Constitution and gave a ruling that these people are illegitimate. So I hope you're getting a ruling, yeah? Thank you. Good morning.
No interpretation,
Good morning, Emmanuel.
Go ahead, sir.
My name is Isaac F. Dwana. I'm calling you from Kovacha.
Are you saying good?
The poor ruling coming from the Supreme Court is not surprise to Liberia. And I say this to say that I remember the last time when I was getting married, I took my computer to the market, and while trying to purchase some laptops, the criminals came and stole my laptops. And somebody that came on the glance and asked me, what color of t-shirt the men were wearing? When I said white, he was able to identify the groups that stole my laptop. I'm saying this to say that all that is happening to our national leaders in this country, beyond the critique, they know what is happening. They are fully aware that they are being funded out of this nation, and they know it. And they are not suffering. We are the ones that are suffering in this nation. Okay? The Vianney President yesterday was against something. Today, he also supporting another two. This is a disgrace to the nation. Okay? So, I mean, Liberians now need to see that these people just came to power to squander some of our resources and suffer us as a citizen. So I just want to call on the citizens of this nation, especially the federal districts, all your lawmakers, order to order. You are saying the law is given to you. The Constitution says you have the powers in your hand. So it is not that we have to assemble together, okay, to all the people to work. It's not helping this nation. Thank you very much.
Thank you. 0775 919 919 088 919 919. Let's talk to other callers on the line. Good morning.
intellectual forum to give us the
You're welcome. Go ahead, sir.
Yeah. Supreme Court. So I think from the beginning, what they did yesterday, from the beginning, they were going to do is that then those guys were not even going to even pass the bill and all the things. From a problem with the Supreme Court, why they have to delay allow those guys went. You see, also power in Nigeria, it was a majority guy, they told it to a majority guy, they are in the right. And those guys went, they elected their speaker, and they passed the national budget, the 2025 budget, the operation tax, and those Supreme Court coming up with the all the things what they are doing it out of, lawful act. So where were you when those guys were doing it, and those money that you receive and adequate that has 2025 budget, you receiving your benefit entirely inside. Why you put it there? Look how they are all up. So we are not receiving the money inside to Pharmaceutical Park. I'm not even receiving that money for that all up money. Because the guy, they just sit down somewhere and say, yeah, this person will move. And that is not the best of it. I'm going to refuse your salary and benefits so that the rest of you know that you need a system that will benefit the constitution of that people, the law of that people. You cannot say everything. So now, you already told the military, all that thing told me, they're not listening to it. That's part of the concern, we get a speaker. So where are we heading to? And you not get no law to put those guys and say, anybody that takes over there, do anything, you will get rid of him. Nothing, not even, you can't do anything. If you are separate, or separate branches of government. So where are we? So I will share the blame on Supreme Court. Thank you very much.
Thank you as well for joining us. Let's take more calls. Good morning.
Yeah, good morning.
You're live. Go ahead. Let's hear you.
Okay, I'm Moses Johnny from Riyadh. Yeah, so what triggered me to call, it was one people that I left a line saying about there are some people that behind this thing. And I agree with it. Yeah, they say who they came up before a few months ago, before going to the high court. It's now coming again. This is how tension can rise up in the country. Seriously. Because what he's breaking again is another different thing. To come and say, the final justice has been done or has been made. Then he comes up with different thing again. Why he can't go again to go fight another thing? So he wants to say the final ruling according to the law that when the Supreme Court rule that the final nobody there to do anything. So he won't wait, he wants to make it go into fight another thing that the Supreme Court will go into way. You know why we to do this country? So really these guys they just come to just one or two more opportunity, nothing they want to do for this country. Supreme Court has rule, and you come out to say that's why this one that rule. For what? So I'm not waste of time again. There's no kind of way take out step back to carry again. You know why it was for this country again? You know the international community will still disappointed. Other people, the reason investors don't want to carry the country, they don't want to come, not to get more resources. But it's really more people don't want to come to invest that for the season. People who depend on to make the country better than that.
Thank you. Let's take the next question. Good morning.
Good morning, Mr. Brown. Good morning, Mr. Brown.
Good morning, sir. Go ahead.
Yes. This is the brother of Daniel. He's going from
Yeah, Daniel.
Yesterday was a surprise for the Supreme Court, and then which many of all have been waiting to hear. But my concern has to do with two major words were used. One from the Supreme Court and one from the indicted or Speaker of the House, which is J. Fanani Kofa. They attended to all concern.
You say indicted?
Yes, indicted Speaker of the House. I tell you, and let me be clear on the record. Because the two school concerning the autonomy of Nigeria national body are wrong, and to say that the will have parity. In which, from the whole mouth, he has already accused himself of corruption. When the law comes in, which is set as lawmaker, operating in the speakership, said it was allowing
and women rise up to do extraordinary things. Today you walk into history with the wind at your back and the thanks of a grateful nation. To the hundreds of thousands of Liberians here and around the world who on bended knees prayed with us, texted a word of encouragement, held us up lest we
Presidential Ambassador for Tourism and Ambassador Christopher Hisomanga, who also want to weigh in this morning following the ruling from the Supreme Court. So we are trying to get connected to him. So as we get him on the line, we will certainly have his own view on this morning as it relates to what's his own thought and opinion following the ruling on yesterday from the Supreme Court.
So he's live on the line.
Okay. So like I said, he's now joining us live on the line this morning. The special presidential envoy, the ambassador for tourism, Ambassador Christopher Hisomanga, is now on the line this morning to weigh in to give his own kind of opinion and respond to the Supreme Court ruling on yesterday. Good morning. It's good to have you joining this conversation this morning. Good morning.
Yes.
Yeah, we get you. It's good to have you on the line this morning. Thank you for joining us this morning. What's your own take and say as it relates to the ruling following yesterday from the Supreme Court, the long impasse for the lower house? Liberians, both home and abroad, our international partners, all been waiting to get clear understanding where we are. Your own take on what took place yesterday from the Supreme Court?
I think we have to make some adjustment to see how we can rejoin him. Hope that this time around, I think we can get him from here this time around and have him.
Okay, yeah, all right. Good morning, sir. All right. It's good to have you joining us this morning. Yesterday, Liberians, both home and abroad, being so concerned for the 10th October of last year, 2024, wanting to know how do we come to a conclusive end to the impasse as it relates to the leadership crisis at the lower house, the House of Representatives. And yesterday, the Supreme Court finally ruled that the majority black being acting illegally. What's your own take? Because figures being pointed at them that they also responsible and being part and parcel of the problem for the long outstanding stalemate at the lower house.
Well, I'll start by saying this. The government of President Joseph Newman Boakai stands clear on the side of the rule of law. And we'll do just anything to make sure that the state is safe. Most have confidence in his administration and the executive arm of government. There are three distinct arms of government and they all perform different roles. Be it as it may, you just raised the point. And the point is that people are pointing fingers at the Supreme Court. What Liberian people want is peace. What Liberian people want is development and employment and a kind of pride that sets in their heart for the growth of their country through the democratic setting, democratic dispensation of governance. After saying this, let us go with the ruling.
Okay.
There are two rulings on ground. It is quite clear that everybody knows that the ground
grounds upon which the Supreme Court have ruled today, they could have ruled a long time ago. Why did they try to play games? You have said return to status quo ante, which is ultra-viral. Now you say, as long as the man who they refer to as their speaker is speaker, then the issue that arises is that as long as it's the country, whatever the majority black does, the self-styled majority black, as the Supreme Court puts it, is illegal. And that the actions that were taken when the referred speaker was abroad. But let's go back to history. Was the speaker in Liberia when these people took their actions? The answer is no. So the Supreme Court is acting inappropriately on that. Secondly, did they try to go into the official chambers? They did. Were they obstructed? Yes. Who obstructed them? The self-styled minority black. Who led it? Melvin, Kool, and Kool. Who did they attack? The deputy speaker who the Supreme Court recognized. How did they attack? They locked the door and said they dared anybody to go in, and he held with full pump. Now, all these answers will tell you that if you look at the ruling, you will want to see the Supreme Court is biased. And not some of us are scared to say it because we're not scared to have contempt of court, especially in a system where you can see from top to bottom the corruption that smells yucky. Just recently, ad hoc judges were appointed to the Supreme Court to handle the Mete case. Isn't it the same public that is saying why the Chief Justice went to Dubai, where the Mete office is? It's not the same public opinion that is saying how can she went the same time that snow is gone? This is the irresponsible senator without a common reasoning, whose mental obligation to the state is failure because he has never been on the side of common sense, who is now openly saying that he wants the government of President Joseph Newman to fail. In essence, what he's saying is that black people should suffer for 6 years because he will do everything to make the Joseph Newman government fail. I mean, who thinks that way? Who sees that way? Who speaks that way? I'm surprised the people of Bomi have not grabbed snow and flooded in good. But anyway, let me move forward. Maybe that people don't know. This Marvin Snow you'll see is separate. This Marvin Snow you'll see. You are please ask him to produce his high school certificate, even though he graduated from university. That is the version. Let's go back to the issue.
Okay, so the ruling now, yeah, the ruling. Yeah, go ahead.
There's a key point I want to hear before you go.
All right.
There's a sitting speaker as of today. Let's say the Supreme Court ruling stands as is. Isn't it a clear agenda for us to see that the agenda of snow is that the government should feel, and that's what's being perpetrated here right now? Does the Supreme Court want to say that every single thing done under this particular speaker is illegal, and that we should go back to status quo until this? And if we're doing that, can the Supreme Court spell out for us what is it that is referred to now as illegal, so we can minus and unminus? Because at
return them back to the Ministry of Finance. I think that the salaries they've been paying themselves should be returned. The allowance they return. The day-to-day operation of the Supreme Court should be returned. So let's reverse the country back to December. Sometimes it's clear that the Supreme Court may lose its common reasoning in what is actually the function of the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court is the arbiter of the interpretation of the Constitution. But how do they interpret it? In the interest to stabilize the state. This particular ruling does not stabilize the state. And so that's why people are saying it's because the Supreme Court Chief Justice is better. They are saying it's because her bitterness is leading her to pains because she expects to have been given some extension. Or it's very possible that so many things are being said, and the way they say this Southeast is trying to overturn the country because of X, Y, and Z. But I think one thing is clear in my own reasoning: that the Supreme Court did not do just that period, because they could have given this ruling in December. Then it would have stabilized the state. Or asking them to refer it back to themselves and find solution. Why wait till now? The Supreme Court has left the state more damaged, but God himself will now allow the state to go into chaos. That's exactly what I've gotten from here.
And yesterday, one of the associate justices in person of Yamin Gbese, who earlier on had a statement that trying to state during the presidency of the nation, which all of them did not attend because he said the president who had legitimized the speakership of Honorable Richard Nagwe. And on yesterday, he said the very same folks that we today say are illegal are the one who went to discuss the budget. We've been paid our salary and benefit, all of these things. That was his own dissenting opinion. What's your own take on that?
Who is just proposing to those are the questions that requires answers.
And
Truth be told,
okay.
truth be told, Thomas Fowler, who was in the country, was going in the chambers to speak and lead the house, but Melvin Quick opposed it along with his men. Everybody knew how unruly and irresponsible Melvin Quick is. Everybody know how he explained that he misused the gas leaves and others of the members of the house. Everybody knew in the last legislature how he collected monies in the name of hospitals. Look, we tried to find the elders in the House of Representatives. Can we find them? You that on radio, name 2 people who are actual elders. Stainless right now in the House. And you come to come on reasoning that we are at the state of comatose. We are in a staccato environment right now. But one thing is clear. No Liberian will support instability like that of his failed state as an irresponsible, cognitively confused Melvin Snow. Arrest.
Yeah, before we leave you, I'd like to ask you if you were asked following this ruling from the highest court in the land to advise the majority bloc or sit with Richard Kool, what would be your advice that the court has ruled?
Well, it's as simple as ABC. I'll remain speaker.
Is there any other thing? Yeah.
I'll remain speaker because the man who was the official deputy speaker was disavowed and disallowed from sitting. And that would have led to the reason why they moved from that point to the other point to have the sitting. They did what they had to do. When the speaker came, they invited him to defend himself. Did he? The answer is no. Did he avail himself? Have the deputy speaker? If, in essence, there's a problem, have the speaker been able from the other side, because we have 2 speakers, have the other speaker been able to hold a quorum to have people sit under him? The answer is no. It's because he has not been able to form a quorum. How can me that have super rest be called upon to go downstairs to find have soup and cooked rice? They have asked to go downstairs that the one I have is not good enough. I should not take raw rice and start cooking. But yet there's no fire to cook at all. Sometimes we should understand, like I said, the core purpose of the Supreme Court is to stabilize the state. We read the book as Supreme Courts anywhere. I know there's a need for a marginal return on how they manage the bees. But let me ask you a question. In 43, let's say 43 lawmakers, that's what they put it. In 43 lawmakers say, okay, they don't want me out of 73. It means I just have 30%. And I try at all costs to form a quorum. It's not working. For God's sake, I will resign. I will give my colleagues the chance to do what they want to do, and I will watch them fail. If my leadership was good. That's the bottom line. All this issue about democracy, about that, it's nonsense. Let it be clear that if you are now wanted by the majority, because you see the opposite, when I say election in the country where you score 50 and score 51, wait, no. In this case, the law says you must have a number to be able to sit as a speaker. You're not getting that number consistently. What is your way forward? Just simply resign. What has it led to? If I will allow the content to feel where the whole institution, the separate institution will run, catches fire and burn, and it's been considered arson at this stage. Investigation is ongoing. That's one. Two, that I'm holding a state to ransom because I'm refusing to resign, to make everything chaotic, illegitimate as is put by the Supreme Court. That's your problem. Leadership is not concocted. Leadership is not forced. There are three kinds of leadership. Leadership that you inherit because your father is a king, so as he leaves, you become a king. Leadership by appointment, where in an institution, it's okay, you know what, this they do this person, let him lead. Leadership by achievement, based on your records, possibly you get elected. For all these three, there are limitations to them. If you are no longer wanted, if you are no longer popular by the people you are supposed to govern, if you don't want to be an anarchist, if you don't want to be dictator, if you don't want to be anything outside of morals, you will just walk. It's not a simple thing to do. All right.
Thank you. We'd like to say thank you this morning for joining us and giving your candid opinion on the ruling from the Supreme Court on yesterday. Okay, and that was the voice of Ambassador at Large for Tourism, Honorable Christopher Hesonanda, weighed in this morning, giving his own candid opinion on the matter. So you listen to all of those things, and you know, I read a statement from the President of Liberia, the President of the President of Liberia, and they also issued an official statement on yesterday, Julius Cameron. I read this before we go to the lines. He said, the PUL believed that the ruling on Wednesday, 23 April 2025, regarding the amendment bill of information filed by Speaker Kofa reflects the Supreme Court steadfast commitment to upholding the rule of law without bias, fear, or favor. In light of the court's decision, the PUL urges all members of the House of Representatives to respect and adhere fully to both the letter and the spirit of the ruling. Specifically, the PUL encourages members to now seek a constitutional resolution to the protracted internal conflict surrounding the speakership. As an organization dedicated to democracy and social justice, the PUL calls upon lawmakers to prioritize national interests above partisan divisions, continue in fighting threatening to derail Liberia's progress and peace. If the majority would indeed remove Speaker J. Francis Kofa, the PUL echoes the advice of ECOWAS mediators. The process must follow the appropriate constitutional procedures rather than perpetuating a cycle of corruption and authoritarian behavior. The PUL urges members of the House to act with integrity and a profound sense of national responsibility. Additionally, the PUL implores President Joseph Boakai, the executive branch, and the Liberia Senate to refrain from undertaking any action that could undermine the authority of the Supreme Court by avoiding engagement with any parallel leadership structure within the House that lacks constitutional legitimacy. Signed, Julius Cameron, President of Liberia. So we go to the lines and talk to our callers right now. Stephen, good morning.
Morning, Wiki, and that now, you know, this is still a part issue. I'm going to our journalism.
What?
Then how to do it with a ruling for the Supreme Court. Why did it not came up at the earlier stage, and now they are coming out to declare on their ruling Then I'll come to the president. President Walker, everywhere you go, you preach the rule of law. If you are dedicated on market, you come up and you say something about the rule of law. Now the Supreme Court is clear. What you did before by taking all security on necessary material that belongs to Speaker Kofa, now it is in your hands.
That the president can assign security to the speaker. Every time we keep saying this thing, why is it we will keep it said the president has assigned security to somebody? And then why are you saying the president too? I mean, talk to other callers because I don't want you to spill all. Good morning. Good morning.
Yeah, I want to take into consideration the same thing what a friend said yesterday that George Garfield is the same thing.
Former President George Weah or Ambassador Weah?
Former President George Weah. So now, yesterday we said George Weah listens to people who are around him.
Man, that man, that former president, he has a title. Respect that. Good morning. Okay. Thank you. Let's talk to our callers. Good morning. Good morning, sir. Why, sir?
Yeah, my concern then came to there was a statement made by the CEO and I actually have a problem with that particular statement.
Which statement?
He said Mr. Snow is he made a statement that he wants to see to is that this particular government, I mean, nothing will come out of this over these 6 years. But I also want to say to him, in some cases or in more cases, it is not what he thinks. The problem here is even the president himself is also causing his problem for his own government. For a typical example, you just a government entity that has been dormant for over 2 years, and the government is leaving low. He has not taken notice.
Which one of the entity now?
The laboratory authorities, there are people who worked there for some time. They were not paid. They went to the government. They went to the president. They did everything they could do. Their faults are not being heard. But then somebody is just saying, the CEO is saying, let's know if they want causing this, causing that. I'm saying the president is just causing problem for this country because people have sat for years plus. They are not taking pay. They were doing awesome, and they went to the president for redress. The president kept dormant.
They met the president when they went there?
Yes, yes.
And what did the president say?
The president requested for listening. He wanted to look into the matter. For last year, we told up to current.
No, that personal issue now you're trying to raise. Those matter that matter, you can bring to the platform, we'll look at it, we can talk it, we can have it discussed. I know you're being affected by it. Good morning.
Yeah, morning, Ricky. Thank you. And thank you for the CEO. You see, last thing I listened to Smooth, Mr. Silo. The whole intention is not for peace to come to Liberia. Instead, he going back to the Senate to meet McGill and meet Dillon. And we see today that the ruling of Supreme Court take effect. And so like that when he making those statements and he can come back for them to negotiate to see how things will work out for Liberian people and just turning into it to feel that he has power to do every other thing. The Supreme Court led everything to this point. I didn't mean that why your CEO was saying if they are arrested the situation for the usual states and pay everybody the same at this time we are going further. But they took that money to and they ate part of it as a salary. Then they stay there and they acting ability. They didn't know what is going on and they doing the decision. And that lady, she got a little bit time ago, so she will do any other thing before she will thank you.
Okay, let's talk to other callers. Good morning. Go ahead. Let's talk to other callers. You're live.
Yeah, good morning, Wiki.
Go ahead.
Good morning, I'm very I'm having this in my own people for there or principal here to another. Then you give a critical issue, then you bring that in some person there or you ask me to show why you better for all of you. That is not an issue. You keep the paper on the show. You keep the paper great feedback when people to listen to what is not hard to do about a guy to do about the level of people who work at level of safety to take out whatever that go is up with that. But now I can go personal to say you can attack the so what I got to diploma, they don't have to diploma that is not the concept. The concept is to go to diploma, it's a people really. And I'm so happy that the people are good to show up for diploma because I know for diploma have a bigger share I need to run this for you now. Whatever, but
Thank you. Let's talk to other callers. You're live. Let me talk to this caller. Good morning. Yeah, go ahead. Good morning. Okay.
Even the State of the Nation address, the session bringing the both horses together were all illegal.
Good morning. Yeah.
Because it was presided by illegal speaker.
Go ahead. Go ahead, Franklin.
Yeah, I guess that's why with the Supreme Court, the Supreme Court know the ruling that was the entry in this thing was also the president. And today they come up with this ruling to say Barack Obama is the speaker. For me, I know that Barack Obama was the speaker. What I want the people to do is that what he just said when we come together and have a dialogue, I'm thinking of this. Let everyone come together and have a dialogue. I'm thinking on Indian and all of those guys are there. Please, you come together and have a dialogue for that group. We are very much rich and we can move with this for the thing else.
Thank you as well. Let's talk to other callers on the line. 0775 919 919 0880 Let's talk to this caller. Good morning.
Hello?
Good morning. Go ahead.
Yeah, I'm passing my way calling for school, Shara. Yeah, my issue drawing to the Supreme Court. What I said yesterday. Or you know, in criminal justice, you know, the receiver is the payroll, right? So if I have the station today and then they catch me and then they will search me and say, why you carry them? I don't tell them to say that, oh, those are the chief judges have been taking pay on the
Thank you. Let me talk to Fofana this morning. Good morning.
Yeah, good morning, and good morning to your co-host. I'm very much pleased and happy this morning from the ruling of the Supreme Court yesterday. The cardinal things that are happening, for which I'm happy, is the fact that the ruling yesterday, to some extent, vindicated the office of the president. You remember when the Supreme Court earlier on postponed the ruling up to yesterday, the public, many were saying the president is interfering with the rule of law and is trying to twist the Supreme Court ruling in favor of whatever it is. So from all indication, yesterday's ruling has vindicated the president, and we believe that the president is in no way interfering with the other branches of government when it comes to their functionality. And furthermore, I want to agree with the CEO this morning. I think he actually expressed my view on these issues, because the hard in every level we must be able to work for the public good of the society, not for an individual. We have experienced so many things that has happened over the last 5 months under the speakership of Richard Nambekun. And this Supreme Court was here. The witness and participated in most of them. And today, to just come up on yesterday and look at individual interests over the interests of the country is something that is totally wrong. And we believe that the country, the pathway of this country will remain uninterrupted. Nigeria is going to proceed. The government will not be shut down as others are planning and doing everything in a weak way to ensure that the government is shut down. The president will continuously not interfere with other branches of government operation. They will do their thing, and the president will remain law abiding. We understand and believe that the president will do that. We cannot refer this. I just want to take you back a little to 2017, when the Supreme Court presided over the issues presented to him by then Councillor Blonsky, may his soul rest in peace. You saw in the form Emmanuel Iwe, the Supreme Court rule. The rule in the best interest of the public. They understand, they acknowledge some of the cardinal issues that were raised by Councillor Blonsky, but yet the public good was always above whatever issues that Councillor Blonsky then raised. So we expected that the current Supreme Court will continue to balance situations in the country, will ensure that peace reigns, and we Nigerians, no matter what it is that the Supreme Court will attend to ensure that we do not have peace, we Nigerians will resist that. We will continue to be peaceful, we will be law-abiding, and we will ensure that the doctrine of separation of power will be upheld.
Thank you.
The speaker, in our view,
Thank you. Let's talk to our callers this morning. Good morning.
Hello?
Yeah, go ahead.
This is Prince Benedict. I'm calling from Duwasa.
Go ahead.
Back to the national school. You know, there's a caller that called from Shaba community, and he was making the point. All of those guys were taking their they were taking their gas plate on Vichikun. But yet, he wasn't recognized according to the Supreme Court ruling. Now, all of them, they've been taking their money, but why they don't recognize the men? fanatic cover is a horse. They got separate powers. The horse has its own rules and regulations. So under the horse's rule, you are 49 or 51 person that voted for fanatic removal. Why are now they coming up, now the Supreme Court, they taking place? The budget of the 2025 was passed on fanatic, everybody on Richard. But now they're not going to ask them. Why?
Because the Article 5 from the Constitution, in the words of the Supreme Court.
Let's talk to other callers. Good morning.
I'm waiting for the platform this morning, but you see this issue with the ruling of the Supreme Court wiki. When the Supreme Court came out with their first ruling, Liberians were agitating and calling on the Supreme Court to be very emphatic, come out to say who is right and who is wrong. And I think on yesterday, the Supreme Court adhered to the cries of the Liberian people, and the Supreme Court was very emphatic. You know, wiki, with the entire situation, here's the irony of the situation. Right after the Supreme Court ruling, within less than 2 to 3 hours, he came out with a statement, a margin of statement on lawmaker coming up to the public and saying he cannot adhere to the ruling of the Supreme Court. Well, if he cannot adhere to the ruling of the Supreme Court, then I came to ask Honorable this morning, why did you send a lawyer to the Supreme Court? For the fact that you sent a lawyer to the Supreme Court to plead your case, to come in and defend, that simply means you adhere to the procedures of the Supreme Court. That simply means you trusted the ability of the Supreme Court. So if the Supreme Court can come out with their ruling, it also means you must adhere to what the Supreme Court said. Take for example, it said that the lawmaker is saying they send their lawyer to the Supreme Court with the mindset that the Supreme Court was only rule in their interest. No. Liberia is a country of law, and like we all have said, the Supreme Court is the highest decision-making body. Let's say, for example, the case of Brennan Mukai, when he won that senatorial election in local county, he decided to adhere to the ruling of the Supreme Court when he was being denied to serve his post as senator, because he only knew that the Supreme Court is the highest arbiter of justice. So why do they Honorable Kool, like I said, a statement? I think Honorable Kool went in the wrong direction. As a statement, like Fonati said, I think Fonati has opened his arms to reconciliation. He has opened his arms to go back to status quo and see. But for Richard Kool to just ask President come up to the public and say he cannot accept the result of the Supreme Court, and for me, I think that is so denigrating as a starting the face of the Supreme Court, and we must be fast to say Richard Kool was very wrong. Thank you for having me.
Let's talk to other callers. Good morning.
Yeah, good morning.
Morning.
So that is very funny for peace.
You're welcome.
I just want to tell you people this morning for the topic. But what I really want to say is Supreme Court and the people that say it's selling on in this country, the Supreme Court never set for right. Today, they're telling us that they didn't recognize and say
Richard Kool.
they're taking their pay or they listen to the people with the benefit of Richard Kool. And now they're telling us that it will not proper. But they were there and they said, we say they are our ambassador. What are people trying to do to us in this country? People, they are not looking at what really going on. People are going to bear with all food. Majority of the children in Liberia now, they are not in school. Why are we taking us to be in this country?
They don't care.
Take everything and you report. Thank you.
Let me take this final caller on the line. Good morning.
Good morning.
Yes, go ahead.
Good morning, weekend. And this is a pleasant good morning to the schools of our preferred and broke out this morning. This is the board of G-Lines for Virginia. and I'm trying to show for relevant this morning. We continue on the talking point, and let me put the floor in the Supreme Court. This is the board of G. Rice of Virginia, in part of Navajo County. On the point of the floor, the Supreme Court yesterday, for their ruling, for minimum view, and what the Supreme Court was down on yesterday. What I think is I feel that we are going back to the same whole thing. Because I just look like a and we never get sincere. It's just like somebody saying, I didn't even know what I let soup. Right? Yesterday, there was a budget pass in 2025 that the Supreme Court have been receiving the first time, they have been receiving the first gambling, they have been receiving all the benefits. And that particular budget will pass on the speakership of the illegal speakership of Speaker Kool. So, if we come to the discourse, we should be sincere about ourselves, right?
Thank you. We have to leave it at this morning, and that's how we draw the curtains on this edition of the Morning Ride.
Definitely. Imagine the State of the Nation address, and all our activities are all illegal.
Yeah, the president has to go back to the so I don't know. And because the president said it should be in January, so we can't wait. But that's it, and that's how we conclude on this edition. Friday up next tomorrow morning, Emmanuel Gabigeto will be here to drain you through as usual. We'd like to say thanks to the men behind the camera this morning, Sakano and Wiki Brooks, and I suffer no identity crisis.
I'm Emmanuel Gabigeto.
For yourself, it can be clear.
When you were seated in the chamber, yes,
I was there. The
okay.
Senate will act in keeping with the ruling of the court.
What was that ruling?
In keeping with the ruling of the court. The Senate will take official copy of the ruling.
They say you see
if you listen, that would be a big one.
The court said the justice minister view on their ruling is irrelevant. Can you